welcome to another gameplay review on the Virkayu gameplay channel, and in this one we have the buffed ELISE jungle. Now, on the face of it, Q neurotoxin human form damage increase. What's it really gonna do, right? However, it's not sometimes the direct nerf that impacts you, it's the indirect nerfs that you missed. Now, the base health, the health growth, the base armor increase, that's all great. You know, it all allows way more skirmishing and PvP and ganking potential, specifically rank 4, 5, and 6, and 7, and 8, yada yada, as you level up your Q, right? Obviously, that human form initial damage is huge. Or, of course, if you lead with a cocoon into your form swap, we'll talk about it as we get into it. Excuse me. Only blue side vision, please. Thank you. The issue is, we've had a few other changes to the game, quite a lot of changes to the game, actually, ever since ELISE has been good. And, you know, the biggest one for me, in terms of itemization, was the Night Harvester buff. Now, that's 90 AP, 300 HP, got 25 haste, all great passives with ELISE, and that's the thing. This game is an Electrocute game. You will see the runes on your screen now. However, the interesting thing is you can literally go 5 different rune sets with good win rates. Conqueror, PTA, Dark Harvest, Electrocute, and First Strike. All of these are working beautifully with ELISE and through different itemization advantages as well. If you want to go on hit with a bit of Nash's Tooth, you can do that. If you want to go Rocket Belt, that is actually not true. Rocket Belt's struggling a little bit. Win rate not so good. But the Nash's Tooth, there's the Sunfire variant where you go Sunfire second after Nash's and you run Conqueror. That is good as well. But I want to focus on the game style of ELISE and why actually it's stronger than you think. And honestly, in high elo, it is an S+ tier jungler. Because we are shifting a bit more into a 3-4 camp action meta where the champions who can't farm fast early can still catch up and farm pretty well afterwards. That's really good. You know, having that tempo and agency is something we really, really value. So this is a challenger game with a challenger ELISE, and she's not going to get freebies, right? She's not going to get straight up gifts from the universe. She's going to have to work for it a little bit, but at the same time, yes, we are looking to show you the strength of ELISE and why it's something that you're sleeping on in terms of map impact. Now, we go to do our 3 camp of, obviously, if you see the mid lane and move on down, and see this is huge, and just to jump back in time to level 1, you see where Yone comes from. You see how he comes out of the fog of war? The assumption from the ELISE is that, yes, he did actually ward it. And so we jump back forward, she had and seen that, anticipated it, clears it. Now, the risk with that, though, is that you were seen. And we know that the Talia did her red side start and she'll be sequencing down. She reacts to this, right? There's no coin flipping. See a main channel video, I'm kind of just piecing together as much as I have time. Hopefully tomorrow. She comes in and she steals it. At least goes for the cocoon stun. We're able to form swap, get a Q down, but I mean, it doesn't really do a lot of damage. We're pinging for resistance. No prio. No prio. GG. And now, when you're playing a Warwick or an ELISE or something like that, now you think it's over. But look, 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 look. With a bit of smite, with a full combo, form swap into a Q, yeah, you can really do this camp a lot quicker than you think. It's these little finicky creatures that you struggle with, and you really don't want to be doing this early. However, that's why I said I like this game, because it will show you the PvP strength of the champion. You're never gonna miss ganks, miss invades, and miss anything like that and get back into it via farming. You gotta use the PvP stats that Riot gave you. Now, obviously, the base health and things like this help with clearing, but it's way more so for your skirmishing. So, we know that she comes and steals this, yeets this, goes to the crab, so we know she's in a blue side right now. ELISE kills Gangplank on the top side. Here we go, bot lane sees us, they go in a little too soon, but obviously you've got to pull the trigger when you've got to pull the trigger. ELISE could have flashed, but there's no point because they have flash. And now she's going to shadow. Why? Because we could have easily gone top scuttle. Easily. But there's nothing up there. There's nothing up here. There's no downside to waiting and backing and kind of just holding a little bit, knowing that the Talia should be in the area, and the fact that they're staying indicates as such. They keep going, they keep going, they keep going. They're able to almost get it. Now we get the flash Q, knowing we can lock that down. Beautifully done again, good patience. And obviously, the Karma is still alive, but the Talia does rotate here. You want to be careful, but there's a huge minion wave. And now, of course, we want to be careful, please. We can keep our eyes open, though. See, if it hits, if the calm shot hits, then you can go in. But otherwise, you know, that's it. Don't overcommit. But there you go, the Electrocute damage, very nice for your early ganks, very nice for your early traits. Not huge, but meaningful. And when you combine that with a Night Harvester, it's a bit overlapping, and that's why Night Harvester is pretty good if you want to go something like PTA, because you kind of offset the Electrocute with the Night Harvester base proc, but at the same time, you know, you can really just double down at the same time. So I love the versatility in terms of runes and atomization that we have. And honestly, the durability patch, the other meta changes that we had this year, the Night Harvest AP item buffs way back, all of this has been saying, well, hey, look, we just needed the meta to develop a little bit into a bit more of a high tempo skirmishing existence meta rather than AFK farming, and maybe champions like her can thrive. And obviously, remember, Rek'Sai is fine. Rek'Sai can full clear significantly better, but you know, Rek'Sai is similar archetype, yeah? Now, we know that she started here. We know that she spent her time down here. She would have run away. Make sure you're tracking that CS, because obviously you would have seen 20 and then 24 come down. And now ELISE decides RNG crab topside. I'm going to take, sorry, that's not an RNG crab. The original piss crab. We take that. We move for deep wards, knowing that she's going to look to control her red side again. If she shows bot lane, we can counter jungle, but not really what we want to do. And obviously the Salt Boots rush is huge, yeah? Because remember, monsters now have magic resist. Just to see, you can left click this one, you can see, 20 magic resist, cool. So your pen from the boots does stuff. So it does help you clear. It's not always PvP buy. It's also great for clearing early, and I do this in Zyra as well, actually, just for the skirmishing that I need, the movement speed that I need to move around the map to be safe in my case. In ELISE's case, to go hunting. And that's exactly what she does. So we see here the Taliyah taking these, 34 CS, does this, shows 38. We know now that she has done her red side sequencing up, which means in theory, we can go ahead and cut down and look for a potential dive, which is what you want to do with ELISE. Now, no low elo, you guys are going to say, well, I can't. There's a reason we don't play ELISE in low elo for those reasons. So look for those really free dives rather than kind of randomly doing stuff. Now, we move into position, waiting for the wave to be pushed in. Obviously, the risk here is Taliyah's going to reset and come down, and you see that. That's why we're hovering at protected ward. Now, if you're going to do this, you got to do it before the Taliyah moves on down. And the ELISE now already says, well, I was seen. I know she's going to be rotating. It's a little bit risky. I'm going to clear all the wards. Again, not ideal, but if there are no wards, you can go for it. You can still shadow this the same way. See it now. There she is. We hit the cocoon for disengage. Move into position. There is a repel play possible. We do have to play well, though. Although you don't want to go too deep because it's Taliyah W, and obviously you've got the Karma Shield speed up as well as Ezreal's Arcane Shift. So again, a little bit of patience. But this shows you the downside to ganking junglers when you don't get the true free shit that you really, really want. Yeah, okay, we're going to cut the losses here. I don't care if Taliyah is showing in the is potentially in the bush, but when you see her move up on the river, as you would have seen, we can make the commitment. So the patience, really, really good. Repel into a snake bite. Spider bite. We see her move here. You see, that's why this ward is great. As soon as you see this, you know you're safe. At the same time, if you're going to try this, yeah, it's risky, but I don't really care usually if they're here because they're either backing, not paying attention, or they have already detached to go farm. And in most elos, you're going to find out that's the situation. But in Challenger, obviously, a little bit of visual confirm is necessary. It's a bit of mind games. So 3-0-0, 32 CS, down 11. Not so bad, actually. It's only 3 camps. It's not even 4 camps. And we still got a first rotation crab. The RNG scuttle shows on the top side. Yes, the Taliyah will get 6 faster, uses a bot lane, is killing their failures for overcommitting and overpushing. We do have the Karma here in Vision as well. This means that this RNG crab goes to us. So in a ganking jungler situation, when you're strong PvPing, don't revert back to farming just because you feel like, I'm a little bit behind. You gotta stay active, you gotta stay active. Now, obviously, we can see Karma rotating up. We kind of saw that happening. We know that Taliyah might be in the zone if she doesn't reset. Great run by the Renata. We move back and we miss our cocoon, unfortunately. We're gonna smite on the Taliyah and we're gonna chomp her down. Ooh, she flashed it, we flashed, and we actually get the kill, so that's nice. Who's that? Come on the bush. Blue buff is up, not taken, we'll steal it. So you're seeing how, even though you're a strong PvP jungler in that sense, Taliyah is obviously, you know, a good jungler in her own right, great jungler in her own right. Sometimes you have to do equal and opposite. Sometimes it's not counter jungling of the whole quadrant. It's just taking a buff here. It's, oh, she's top lane, I can dive the bot lane. Just don't be farming, you know, just don't be farming. Obviously here, what you can do, now that we've got a bit more, good alternator, the blasting wand kind of thing was nice, but they swapped Night Harvester. I'm not sure I'm a fan of that. I kind of like blasting wand. I know haste, and yeah, I know. Here we're skipping the red. So the reason for skipping the red is because we know that since we took this until they died and flashed here, she's most likely going to be going to the top side here. If we spend too much time on this quadrant, we're going to lose the ability to contest the Herald and obviously give her a bit of free reign on the river. So Yone is fighting. We move first. We hit the cocoon. He dies, basically one shot. Taliyah now did her buff and rotates. Gangplank ults because that champion is diseased and broken. We move again. We cut her off. Double kill. ELISE had Pry on the river. We miss the cocoon again. Doesn't really matter. You miss 100% of the cocoons you don't take. Triple kill, baby. And that is huge. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. This read, that read right there is the read that makes a good Elise, a great Elise, or a great challenger, high-pressure jungler. Even in my mind, you know, I'm probably still Red Raptors cut in, just because of the nature of my champions. I don't have that same skirmishing potential, so I like to maintain 6.5, 7 CS a minute average until I can bump that up later in the game by absorbing waves that no one wants. But they at least knows that she's not going to win by taking one more camp than the Taliyah. She needs to get this Herald to bust open the game state and maintain river control, which is what she's doing so far. So we see the Taliyah, we're pinging it through. If he dies, he dies. Nothing we can do about that. We use it to take a Herald. Beautiful. So see, she knows. Like, she's forced out to cross map, which is really ridiculous, actually. Which means this RNG crab, we don't have to worry too much about, but I would be worried about the Taliyah ult. Bot lane, that was interesting. You know, desperation plays. There you go. Desperation plays by the Taliyah because of the pressure from the Elise. Lee Sin is going in. We got Lee Sin in the game. So anyone who played in Season 3, Season 4, you guys might have a little bit of PTSD, except that Lee Sin is... You see that? She tried to mind game him, and he might... Yeah. That, a lot of you will think, that's a wasted E. Nice. She was trying to predict the safeguard. We're going to activate this now and dumpster this on the turret. Bot lane dies, and they'll get some plates in return, but this is fine, you know. Yes, denial and PvP is great when you're playing an Elise and high pressure jungling and that kind of thing, but oftentimes, as long as we saw you, lazy power thing, even a challenger, and that's it. Gangplank. Well, that was almost it. So close. But you see the damage proc. You got the alternator, you got the electrocute. It's very, very good. Now we do have cooldown on that. We could steal this Ezreal ult flying through. Always look for that Ezreal ult globally. Look for it. Because if you're super low, you know what's up. Roam again by the Rel. Pressure. Renata. Who's Rel? The pressure valve release by an Elise jungle is so good when it's played well. I love this read here of, let me just take the quickest thing that I can on my route to cut and top because I know she's going to do this. It's the Nidalee trick, right? You guys know Nidalee will just kind of swoop like this and control your jungle. It's really tilting. Elise can do the same thing. And now, especially with neurotoxin bonus damage, plus a bit more durability, plus some great atomization and rune variety. Really, I mean, it depends what you're facing. This will scale less well. This will scale less well than your sort of PTA Conqueror builds in terms of like 5v5 team fighting, but in terms of assassination, Electrocute's still the best for single target annihilation. And in games where you want to just straight up win by 2025 like you do in Korea, that's exactly what she's looking to do, which is why she's going for the Magi, the Night Harvester, the Void, and the Zhonya's early. Just real pressure destruction. And I like that. See, Cocoon hits, boom, there we go. Now you just activate your W, just keep auto-attacking. That's, of course, where the auto-attacking, yeah, you press W. That's where you kind of like the Nash's Tooth. That attack speed with Nash's Tooth feels really, really juicy. Really, really juicy. But again, Night Harvester, not always the objective item. Not always the item that you want as your sort of objective coming out of the gates, but as you can see, even with Electrocute, it does so much upfront damage that all you're left to do is make sure you're proccing your Spider from W and you're waiting for another rotation of that Execute, and basically no one can do anything. Because once you've done that much damage up front and you haven't used Repel, there we go. See, now we Repel to avoid stuns. We move back to the Dragon. I like that a lot here. We do have Neurotoxin up. Okay, we get the kill from the fellas. That's great. We can slide on through and finish up this Dragon. So mobility as well. Prediction, dodges, rewards a great mechanical mind, but someone who also thinks deeply about everything they're doing in the game. I like it. I mean, I've played a lot of Elise in my day. I love Elise as a champion. And here we go. We can do... unfortunate. You see, people will start commenting about this a little bit now, but you have to remember, these are challenger players in Korea on like 5 ping, dodging, right? It's much easier to dodge than if you're playing on, you know, like 60 ping or something in NA or in EUS. We have variable ping rates, but like, it's obviously much more difficult to hit skill shots on people with low ping who are challenger level players, pro players. However, 903, Aurelia, not really focused on Aurelia, but having a tidy game, but again, 414, 450, we've killed Yone a few times and been the reason Yone hasn't been able to get going. Now, This is where a lot of ELISEs lose games. Straight up, this is where they lose games. We're going to go into the Blighting Jewel first. I do like that, actually. I do like that early penetration, specifically when you're this far ahead. Just make sure we're getting the kills. We have the flash there to get to the plant, the kick alt, and then of course the flash does nothing to the repel. You just hit your Q, and then you see that it was reverse of abilities. We just get that damage up front, you can convert back to human form, hit your stun, and of course you've got your Spiderling. Remember, if you hit Cocoon, and then eject your Kamikaze Spider in human form, and it's wandering around aimlessly, when you convert back to Spider form and you Q, alright, that W will then fly to the target that you Q'd in human form. So, even if it's not going to hit, like right now, you see that Spiderling, if she Q'd in Spider form the Ezreal, that would have flung to him. So, remember that as well. We do hit this one. I don't know if that was the best ultimate by Fellows. We're going to go a little deep here, but the damage is insane. Doesn't really matter. We use a stopwatch. Woo! Boy, are we going to hit by a Karma Q? Are we going to hit by a Karma Q? Is the Ignite going to do its damage? We live. Red buff does the good juice. Now, Yone is going to try and do things. We just disengage with the E, and the W does a huge amount of damage at this point. Fellows now overcommitted for this and should die. Gangplank cleans up from the side. TB committed. And here's ELISE with that Spiderling. We hit that one. You hit that one. See, that chases down that direction. We target swap. Focus one, focus the other. Misdirected intent, very, very big. Playing around cooldowns, like an assassin. Like an assassin. And that's the thing, right? The buffs that she got are not going to make her do this. The buffs don't solve her inherent weaknesses, which you saw earlier. There are definitely inherent weaknesses. If she doesn't get those ganks, she's kind of screwed. That's why that tracking of the Talia is so crucial. Okay, that's why the tracking is so vital. And I've got a tracking video on my main channel, Ultimate Tracking Guide, if you are curious about the CS tracking and then testing yourself a little bit. The Ultimate Tracking Guide, Virkayu channel, just search it up, will without a doubt help you understand how this ELISE was making those reads. And a lot of it comes down to discipline as well. A lot of it comes down to discipline in terms of really not, like I told you, don't go for the red into the Raptors. Just make your play, right? Make your aggressive play. The buffs, though, health growth, you get 2 per level. That's really, really great. The base HP is great for early kills, which allows you to get back, get you on the map a bit sooner, allows you to fight a bit tighter, and these things do add up. And the win rate plus all the build variety is really showing some good stuff. And when you have a good team, right, you can carry games just by extension of your pressure. However, in games where your team are perhaps struggling a little bit, like the Phyllis was, right, he was dying a lot. You can still carry games. We have the second Herald, which is absolutely huge. Fight. Berserk. Stunned. Let's watch that in slow motion. Here we go. So we don't have our human form W up, but we're going to hit the Cocoon. All right? She hits the Cocoon. Now, we don't have this, which is unfortunate. You can see that, right? Yeah, you can. It's 517 damage, but we do have this now, which of course is current health magic damage. So the current health is high, which means that initial proc is just juicy. Now she can very easily pull out this W in the meantime, which she does, and then immediately swaps down into that spider form boof, and she dies and explodes because of the Spiderling as well. So play around those cooldowns. You see those cooldowns are really, really big, and obviously we'd have our Skittering Frenzy, which is great. We do have Repel active as well, which we can then use to go back in. Beautifully done, and back out. So the order of abilities for ELISE is the... But I want to live? The Cocoon disengages have been exquisite this game, though. She has lived twice because of great Cocoon disengages and kind of moved back in and out using those cooldowns. But as you can see, even though Spiderling wasn't up yet, a little bit of W at the end, even though that wasn't up, it was after the Cocoon human form Q had gone through. So really learning her cooldowns without thinking is such an important part. It's a fluid champion, and champions that are form swapping early are difficult mechanically for people to learn on because you've got to be fluid. And now most ELISEs will look very slow motion and stuttery, but that was just so fluid. And that's how you play this build. And this is disgusting damage. 25 Void Stuff, Night Harvest, almost 2 grand of damage here. We have the GP just existing. Phyllis is still 475. He's done damage, but he's done nothing. The most damage in the game will be 100% done by the ELISE. This guy's not escaping. That's it. A ranged assassin with a stun. Play ELISE, my friends. If you're not low elo, if you're gold and you're willing to try like the Rek'Sai high pressure stuff, then please go for it. you're going to be rough at the beginning, and it requires a lot of tracking knowledge and oppressive, aggressive jungling. But you can see at 1409, she's just absolutely controlling the game here. GP goes top lane there with his teleport. And this is where the Nash's Tooth PTA Conqueror is huge in this situation. If you need to do a little bit of splitting, right? Huge hit. You can do it anyway. But the Nash's Tooth really allows this kind of macro pressure that you might want in gold and platinum. And I think that's something worth thinking about as well. Right. Now we, of course, have Zhonya's as well. We can clear this away. We can form swap, rotate, whatever, move around to the Baron. We're going to snack that baby. Tilly goes through, you try to chuck it. She says no. She gets berserked, hooked in. We're just going to queue that. Watch the knockup from Tilly. Make sure you repel all CC that you need. And GP's ult kind of zones them out, distributes them unevenly. We're a little bit low, actually, so you want to be careful. ELISE is now on Zhonya's. There you go. Thank you, Felios. And just a tiny, you know, Lord of the Rings type nom to finish that off. And we can stay out here. Talia is now flanking the backside. We want to regenerate HP a little bit, obviously, when you're smart like this. So now Talia's like, aha. We had repel, but we wouldn't have been in range because she kited down. So they're chasing a kill here. They could just end the game. Yone is, I think, a little bit upset. One could understand his point of view, but at the same time, excuse me, we are all junglers. And again, nom. I mean, you're seeing the map flow. Still 141 CS in the end, 106 in the Tilly, who really could do nothing, and that's the FF vote. So the buffs definitely are bringing forward how strong Elise can be, but it's not the sole reason for why she's ending up strong. A little bit of a shift in the meta, the durability patch being meaningful, and AP atomization shifts as well that people are just kind of ignoring. So try it, Elise. Hope you enjoyed and learned something. Should be back for a few more videos this week as much as time will allow. My Zara GG guys are linked below for Volibear and Warwick. Please go and try those out, even if you don't play them, because I'm looking to do lighter versions that at least have my jungle ganking tier list and jungle macro and stuff like that. That will be applied to every other jungler, essentially. So if you're interested in that, let me know. Thank you very much for watching. As always, I will see you all in the next tutorial.